In this video, we're going to show you how to replace an alternator on your RX350 Lexus. Remove the clips around the plastic. To do this, push in on the tabs. And then pull the cover off. Push all the clips in. Remove the plastic, remove the engine cover, pull straight up. Using a pair of pliers, we're going to squeeze the back of these clips and then push them forward and release it from the air box. Do the same thing on this one. We're going to put these just to the side. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to remove the two bolts off this air intake. Pull the intake out. Then we'll remove the intake that was under the other one. Remove the 10mm bolt. There's one more clip for these vacuum hoses on this lower intake part. Squeeze and pull them out. And remove the 10mm bolt for the overflow tank. Remove the hose for the overflow bracket out of the fan shroud. And remove the tank assembly. Using a 10mm, go ahead and undo the negative battery cable. And remove it from the terminal. Remove the clips on top of the grill. Pull up on these stoppers and pull them out. There's 10mm bolts and some clips around the perimeter of this splash shield. Go ahead and remove them. Remove the shield. Remove the 10mm bolt on the corner of the bumper. And there's one clip. Do the same thing on the other side. Using a 21mm socket, remove the lug nuts. Remove the wheel. Remove the two 10mm bolts for the side splash shield. And then remove the plastic cover. We're going to use a 14mm wrench on the auto tensioner, and we're going to pull it down and loosen the belt and take the belt off. And as I do that, I'm going to take this little bolt, and this little bolt is going to fit inside of this hole. And once we pull this tensioner over to this gap, I'm going to insert this bolt through, and it's going to hold the tensioner there for me. Just like that. So we put our little bolt in there, and then it's going to hold the tensioner for us. And remove the belt. Using a 14mm socket, we're going to remove this alternator bolt. Remove that bolt. We're going to open this petcock and drain some of the radiator fluid. We don't want to drain the whole thing. Just enough that so when we take the upper hose off, it doesn't spill everywhere. Once you've drained a bit of fluid out of the radiator, go ahead and close your petcock. Give these clips a 90-degree twist. Then push in on the bumper and pull them out. Pull this felt fender liner back, and there's going to be one 10mm bolt inside of here. Remove that. Do the same thing on the other side. On this clip, we're going to push in on this tab and then push the clip downwards, just like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Disconnect the connector on the back of the fog light. We're going to push on the tab and pull straight down and remove that clip. Do the same thing on the other side. We're going to push up on this tab and release the front bumper. Grab the corner of the bumper near the fender, and we're going to pull straight towards us and pop it out. Do the same thing on the other side. And then work down the headlight, and there will be a clip towards the front part, and that'll pop out. Pull the front bumper forward, and there's one connector on top of the fog light that we're going to have to remove. Remove the connector, and then go put the bumper somewhere safe. Disconnect the connectors for the horns. There's going to be a little tab on the side. Push on that and then pull down. disconnect the ambient air temp sensor. Push on this tab, and then pull down. We're going to remove this plastic clip. Go ahead and pinch it, and then pull it out. Remove the 10mm bolt on the bottom of the center radiator support. Remove that bolt. Remove the 4 10mm bolts on the radiator support. Two on each side. Pull the clamp down on the upper radiator hose. Remove the radiator hose. We're just going to bend this back and out of the way, just like that. Remove the 2 10mm bolts for the fan assembly. One right there. Undo the connector for the fan assembly. There is a push button on this side. Push that in. And we're going to pull straight back. Push in and pull straight back and remove that connector. That's the push button right there. Just push on that and pull back. We're going to undo all the clips for this harness. There's 3 of them along the fan assembly. Then pull this harness out of your way. There's one more clip for a transmission cooler line right on the bottom of the fan assembly. Squeeze these 2 little tabs right here and then push the fan assembly forward towards the engine. Now we're ready to take the fan assembly out. Twist the upper radiator support up and over. Give it a little twist. And we're going to let it sit right here for the rest of the job. The reason we're doing this is so we don't have to disconnect the hood latch cable. I'm going to drop a piece of cardboard in front of the radiator so that while we're messing with the alternator and pulling it out, we don't accidentally hit the radiator and cause a leak. Pull the boot back on the alternator cable. Using a 10mm socket, undo the nut on the alternator terminal post. And remove that. Pull the cable off. I'm going to put the nut back on the post just so I don't lose it. Remove the connector off of the alternator. There's a 10mm bolt right here holding a harness in. We're going to take that off. Remove that. There's a little tab right here. I'm going to push down. And remove it off of that bracket. Remove the 14mm bolt on the alternator. Remove that bolt. Using a long extension and a deep 12mm socket on a ratchet, we're going to remove the 12mm nut for the bracket bolt on the alternator. Using a pry bar, carefully pry the alternator out. Remove the alternator. Install the alternator into the car. Our alternator is pretty tight going onto this bracket right here, so we're just giving it a few taps with a soft face hammer to get it in position. Once you have it there, go ahead and put the long bolt through the top. And we're just going to get that top bolt started a few threads. Install the bottom alternator bolt and then get it started a few threads. Get that bolt started a few threads, leave it loose for now. Install the connector for the alternator. Push until you hear a click. Take the nut off this post if you reinstalled it. Pull the boot up. Install the line. Put the nut back on. Snug this nut down, pull the boot over it. We're going to install the 10mm bolt for this harness bracket. Snug this bolt down. We're going to install our alternator bracket nut right onto this stud right here, going from under the car. And get that nut started right there. Torque this nut to 15 foot-pounds. Snug down the bottom alternator bolt. Torque this bolt to 32 foot-pounds. Snug down the top alternator bolt and then torque it to 32 foot-pounds. Install the upper radiator support. Install the 10mm bolts. Install the bolt on the bottom of the upper radiator support. I'll go around and snug all of those down. While we're down here, plug this ambient air temperature sensor in. Push until you hear a click. Install the connector for the horn. Do the same thing on the other side. Remove your cardboard if you installed it. Install the fan assembly into the vehicle. Once the fans are in, pull the top part towards you and make sure these two clips engage. Install the bolt for the fan assembly. Do the same thing on the other side. And we'll snug those down. Install the plastic clip on the bottom, back into the fan assembly. We're going to reinstall our fan harness. putting in all of the clips as we work down the fan assembly. Push the connector on until you hear a click. Install the coolant reservoir. There's a little pin on the bottom side of this reservoir that'll link in to the fan assembly. And then install the bolt. Snug it down. Pull this hose over, put it into its brackets, and then install it onto the radiator overflow. Install the upper radiator hose. Grab the clamp, slide it back into position. Install the air snorkels back into the car. Install the bolt. Make sure that this piece down here is sitting on the air box. Snug the bolt down. Install the vacuum line clip into the lower air snorkel, just like that. This piece right here. Install the upper air snorkel, just like that. And this top one, this part will feed into the lower. Slides in on top of it. Install the bolts on either side of the upper air snorkel. Snug them down. Install the vacuum line clip. And there's one right here as well. Install the belt onto all of your pulleys. Pull the little screw that's holding the tensioner. Install the side shield. Get your bolt started. Snug them down. Install the connector. Push until you hear a click. And then install the fog light connector. Install the bumper onto the car. It's best to have somebody help you. Get the corners started. And then in the middle, there will be that locking clip, and we're going to push straight in and engage that. Install the inner fender onto the bumper. Just like that. Install the clip for the bumper. and install the bolt. And we'll snug that down. And then do the same thing on the other side. And tuck this fender liner back in. Install our clips. Just like that. Install the bolt. Do the same thing on the other side. Install the splash shield. We'll put our clips in on either side. Install the bolts into the splash shield, then snug them down. There should be one right here, but ours is broken. Put the hood stop clips into the top of the grill. And one more. Install the clip in the center support. Install the front plastic. Install the engine cover, push it down onto its dowels. Install the side plastic, put the clips in. Remove the radiator cap. I'm going to install my coolant funnel. Pour the coolant. Once this stops bubbling, make sure you have some fluid in the reservoir, and then go ahead and start the car and wait for all of the bubbles to stop and totally bleed the system. Remove the coolant funnel. Install the radiator cap, and I'm going to put this extra fluid in the overflow tank. Install the negative battery cable. And snug that down. Install the last plastic shield. Put all your clips in. And then we're ready to go. Start your lug nuts. Snug them down. Torque the wheels in a star pattern to 80 foot-pounds.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.